their forever bike. But and I really, I love that they do that. It's the bike shops. Every shop in town has supported us. They donate bikes. They donate parts. Their mechanics come down at times and turn wrenches. It's a community. That's another thing about a bicycle is that, when you get a bike, you don't just get a bike. You become a part of a community. So, you hit on that full.
Welcome to Keeping Tabs. I'm Tabitha Croc, and every Monday, I talk to someone here in North Idaho with the goal to connect more people in the Coeur d'Alene area. And then every Friday, I talk to someone outside the community to bring in a new perspective and to learn a little bit about yourself. All right, I have Tom Morgan with me today, and a longtime friend. I've known him for a very long time. We're both in the nonprofit community, also love cycling, the outdoors, giving back to kids. So Tom was like someone I, naturally gravitated towards because we have a lot of the same passion. So we're going to talk today about Lake City Bike Collective. So first of all, thank you so much, Tom.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, what you're up to, and then tell us about Lake City Bike Collective.
Well, let's see, Lake City Bike Collective. Well, I guess I'll start with me. I'm a guy who's kind of been a bike fanatic since I was a small child. My grandmother got me my first secondhand bicycle when I was 5, maybe 6. And I mean, it opened up doors for me, adventures, 45 years ago, I lived out on the north end of Kootenai County, and in those days things were far apart and a lot of windy little roads, trails through the trees, stuff like that. My family was spread out there, and so for me it was an opportunity to be able to go visit my aunt or go see my cousins who lived a couple 2-3 miles away, and you got there faster, you got to have fun. We used to build all kind of little obstacle courses in the trees and stuff. It was, a bike just opened up, changed my life, and I think it does that for a lot of kids. Of course, I got a little bit older and I don't know, you lost the I don't know. I kind of fell away from bikes for a little while, and I don't know. I think I must have been in my middle 20s, I suppose, when I came across another secondhand bicycle that it turned all those switches back on for me. And since then, I haven't been away from a bike for more than a day or two, in the last 30 years. So. I've been a heating and air conditioning repairman for 33, going into my 34th year of doing that. And so I used to get in everybody's backyards. I say used to because I actually retired, hung up the air conditioning gig last year, and immersed myself full time into the bike co-op. But I remembering what a bike meant to me. When you're in a service industry, especially where you go door to door, like I was, you see every financial situation. I might go to a $5 million house for one call, and then over on Ramsey Road in a trailer park, a single wide manufactured home for the next one, and so you see the different economic situations, and so I started, I don't know, probably 7-8 years ago. I just asked people, hey, I see you got that old bike over there. It doesn't seem like it's getting used very much. I know a family that's on the other side of town that has some kids that could really use a bike. What are your plans for that? And it was pretty frequent. In fact, almost always that they would say, well, geez, if you can find a good use for it, we're not using it. And so I would finish up my repair, hand them an invoice, load up my tools, and then load up an old bicycle into the back of my van and take off. I would take them home, I would do some repairs to them, and then I would get them to the family that was in need. And so that's kind of where I started this it's kind of where the first inkling, the first idea of the co-op came along. another door that opened, or another kind of a switch that clicked, was my wife Jamie and I took a just took a little mini vacation to Boise a couple of years. It must have been 9 years ago, I guess. And I usually have a repair kit with me all the time. You know, and especially going to another town, another place where I've never been, I always try to be really prepared. That particular trip, I managed to get out of town without a repair kit on my bicycle. So here we are in Boise. We got a fantastic green belt. It goes miles and miles and miles. It connects you to everything. We were having such a fantastic time, and I ran over a goat head, which is, you know, it's just really prominent thing on the trail down there. I ran over a goat head. I get a flat tire, and I don't have a repair kit. So somebody local says to me, "You need to go to Boise Bicycle Project." And Boise Bicycle Project was fairly new. I think they'd been around for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years maybe at that time. And so, you know, I hoofed it 2 miles to Boise Bicycle Project, pushed my bike, and when I walked through the doors, it was amazing. It was this kind of industrial building at that time. It wasn't really kind of the epicenter of town. It was kind of out on the outskirts, a few blocks away from the college campus. And I go walking in there, and it's I mean, there was bikes everywhere, bike pieces, bike, you know, stuff in bins, stuff on the floor. It was kind of, you know, kind of disheveled, but amazing. And you know, it should have taken me, you know, 10 minutes to fix my bike tube, and I ended up in there for, gosh, I must have spent 3 hours in there. And I lost track of my wife. You know, good thing she can take care of herself, because I got completely overwhelmed and just immersed in what was going on there. And you know, I came outside, and I just never shut up about it ever again, I don't think. And so, you know, we spent a few more days there. I think I actually came back the next day. I hadn't gotten enough that day. I had to go back the next day and see it some more. And so I took pictures, I took notes. And so when we came home, I never stopped talking about it again, you know, but you know, I knew we needed something like that here in Coeur d'Alene. I didn't think I was the guy to do it. You know, I really didn't think it was me. So I started, you know, trying to connect with and meet other people that were doing stuff. And so there was a couple other bike groups in town, and there was some guys that were doing, you know, I was really kind of into vintage rusty stuff. And so I met some guys that did that. And then one day this tall, kind of gangly police officer came looking for me. And I remember we were sitting at a local restaurant, and it was Jamie and I were waiting for the rest of the rider guys to show up, and this cop comes walking through the door, and asked the person behind the bar if she knows who I am. And so Jamie nudges me, and she says, "Why is there a police officer looking for you?" And anyway, it turned out it was John Kelly, who's a mutual friend of the both of us. And so, you know, John Kelly was getting some stuff started, and you know, we both have a connection to Bike CDA, and you know, that's a friendship that, you know, I don't know, we've had our ups and downs, but I'm happy to say today that we're as thick as thieves, and he's a guy that motivates me and keeps me focused, and like I said, a true friendship, you know, to this day. And so, you know, I don't know, I kind of figured out that nobody else was going to start the co-op. Nobody else was going to do what I want to do. And so I had no choice, and really kind of I just didn't have the confidence that I was the guy to do it. And so, but you know, the wife nudged me, as she always does. And I don't know, we took the step, you know, and so we turned it into a nonprofit organization. We found a little place where we could do some work. 50 bikes in the backyard at home was not was no longer manageable, you know, and so we had to have a building to work out of. And so we started out, actually Bike CDA gave me the start in the basement of the church on the corner, and it's where we're working today. And then you know, we kind of had a little separation from there, and a little time for everybody to get a little bit of clarity, and I met a few more people along the way. I got a little closer relationship with Steve Widmeyer and some guys down at the city, Bill Greenwood, and some folks that gave me some opportunities there to get into another space and get some work started and really store a lot of stuff. One thing when you're doing a bike co-op is, man, you end up with a lot of stuff, and where do you put all that stuff? So currently we have probably, I'm going to say 300 bikes at the co-op right now. Probably, you know, half of them will never be a bike again. They're just too much wrong with them. But every bike has a piece or two, or, you know, a few parts on it that's usable. So that's what we do. We house them. We determine, you know, what's usable. And you know, when a bike comes in, we look at it and we go, okay, this will be a good bike. Let's build it. What does it need? And then we start looking at the other bikes for, okay, you're a parts bike, we're going to take this off of you, and you're a parts bike, and we're going to take this off of you. And so sometimes it takes 2, 3, 4 bikes maybe to build one good bike, but we're keeping bikes out of the garbage. We're you know, once we strip all the parts off of them that we can use, we go ahead and just strip them down to the bare frames. The frames are metal, they're recyclable. So we separate recyclables from garbage, and we build good usable bikes. You know, I've got relationships with Boys and Girls Club is one that I really you know, probably like the most, because it connects us, you know, to kids. James Kerb at the Coeur d'Alene School District is another guy that connects us to kids, which is really our passion, putting kids who are financially constrained on a free bike if they need it, or an affordable bike if that's what they need. But I think every kid should have the opportunity to have a bicycle. It's such a life changer, you know, and so I just feel like every kid most definitely should have a chance to have a bike. And you know, I don't really view bikes as a toy. I kind of view them as a tool, and so a fun tool, you know. But I mean, they can have such an impact. If you don't have a car, a bike can really function as a car for you. If your car breaks down and you need something to get you around while you get your car fixed, a bike is a tool. Anyway, I don't know. I'm just, like I said, bike fanatic. I'll take a breath now and let you ask another question.
Well, I've got lots of questions. Well, I also love, because I get phone calls for the Centennial Trail all the time. They're like, hey, this and that. They're always like, hey, I've got bikes to donate. And so obviously I'm like, you got to get a hold of Tom. But I also love is that I have friends that are like, hey, I need a bike for the Full Moon Cruiser. I don't own a bike. And I'm like, how do you not own a bike? Everyone owns a bike. But aren't really people like my age or young, like they just, biking wasn't in their life, it's not something they think of. And so like my friend Weston, he's like, hey, I need a bike. And he's like, you told me about Lake City Bike Collective. And I was like, yes, get a hold of Tom. I sent him your, your link and stuff. And then he texts me back and he's like, oh yeah, he's getting me a bike. And I love that this is an opportunity for someone that, can't financially afford a bike. You give them this cool vintage, something unique that they're going to get at Walmart. They're not going to get at Trek. They're just something, they just need to commute something for these fun rides. And you're giving him a bike. He's paying for it, which then it goes to the co-op for you to be able to help more people in need.
Well, and his bike is on the repair stand at the shop right now. So he chose this super cool, early 80s, it's a Schwinn Latour. Anyway, still has some great paint on it, and we're putting these bright pink tires on it. Anyway, it sounds like it, but the contrast is beautiful. Anyway, I rode it for the first time last night, so we'll dial it in today, and it'll probably be finished today. But the thing with the co-op is not only is it a place where kids can get a bicycle, but it's really a place where anybody can come and get an affordable bicycle. the pandemic it's been stressful on the nation, on every individuals, on all of us. And so so what I found last year is that people were looking for ways to, we couldn't get together in groups, and you couldn't, you needed to get outside where the fresh air was. And so I got so many people that came in last year looking to get on a bicycle that haven't been on a bike in 30 years. I mean, I got people in their 60s. I got people in their 70s that are thinking, okay, I think I want to, I'm not sure I can do this physically. It's been so long. And I just tell them, hey, it's like riding a bike. And, anyway, they come in and it's like, I don't know if I want to go spend, full retail at a bike shop, to buy something that I'm not even sure I can ride it. I don't even know if I have that physical ability anymore. So they come down to the bike shop. They're looking for something inexpensive just so they can test their legs, and just see if they can do it. So, I give them a chance to, pull a bike out of the rack. I've usually got anywhere from 10 to 20 bikes, ready to ride. And so they come down, they find the one that kind of speaks to them. And it's funny because they usually gravitate towards the stuff that was kind of their era. So if in their 70s, they're looking at, those old heavy, like beach cruiser style bikes, because it's, familiar to them. And they go up in the parking lot next to the church, and it's nice and flat. There's no traffic. And, I always encourage them to wear a helmet, and I got plenty to share. And so they'll go up and, they'll spend an hour. Sometimes they don't buy anything, because they don't feel comfortable, and they just kind of come to the conclusion that maybe it's not for them. But sometimes they get a little tip, it's like watching a kid learn how to ride a bike again, except it comes to them really fast. But so often they find the bike that they love. And I think that, oftentimes it leads them to go maybe buy a bike at a bike shop. The bike that you buy from us at the co-op is, they're not new. They're in good shape. We've done a lot of work to them. They're well repaired, but they're not new. They don't have all the fancy, click shifters and, and stuff like that. It's, a lot of coaster brakes and, like I said, old technology. But, so they come to us and they find that starter bike, the entry level bike. And then at some point, in the future, they go to the bike shops and find their, maybe their forever bike. But, and I really, I love that they do that. It's the bike shops. Every shop in town has supported us. They donate bikes. They donate parts. Their mechanics come down at times and turn wrenches. It's a community. That's another thing about a bicycle is that, when you get a bike, you don't just get a bike. You become a part of a community. So, you hit on that full moon ride the other night. So I went. The one last month was the first one in a year, wasn't it? And so it felt so good to be finally, standing there again with your bike people, and just good people all around. But man, when that bell rings and it's time to get on those bikes and head down the street, people are excited. It's genuinely a good time, and it's always fun to see a face that you recognize, but it's just as cool to meet somebody for the first time and start up a conversation that next month is a familiar face, and so it really is a community, and we need that right now. We've again, this past year we've been, told to stay separate and, maintain your distance. And so you lose that community feel. It's not really what humans are made of. We're tribal, and so we need each other. And so that's one of the things that the full moon ride means to me is it's, getting the tribe together and that's the power of a bicycle. A bicycle brings you to those places. The common thread, none of those people, we don't necessarily know each other very well, but we all love bikes. And so the bikes is a common thread that stitches us all together.
I love that. So obviously I'm sure you own lots of bikes. I've seen a couple of your awesome bikes. Do you have a favorite bike and what is it?
Well, it's hard to have one favorite. So I have favorite bikes for particular things, you know. So my favorite bike, if I had to give up all my bikes and just have one, is I've got a 1947 Schwinn. It's like a newspaper boy bike, you know. It's got a rack on the back and a big headlight on the front fender, and a tank, you know, on the top bar. Little rusty. The things I wish it could talk because it's got stories, you know. And so if I had to give up all my bikes and just keep one, that would be the one. That's the one that I like to take to the full moon rides. That's the one that I right now I haven't. When you saw me last month, I was riding a bike with gears because I haven't ridden enough in the past year to keep it takes some legs to be able to ride a single speed bike.
Yes, it does.
You know, for miles and miles. And so I'm working my way back to being able to pedal that bike all over town. But so if I'm commuting, you know, here to the grocery store or something like that, I've just got a basic, you know, I don't know, like so I think it's a 21 speed, you know, just a kind of a crossover kind of a bike, you know. Do a little bit of dirt, but really performs best on the street. And but it's got gears, you know, and so I can pedal up that hill on Montana Street, you know, in that bike. I can't pedal up that on the Schwinn, you know, and so it's, you know, it's got a use, you know, it's got a purpose. And then if I want to go somewhere and go real fast and put 100 miles in, I got a Cannondale that I built. I don't know, it's probably a 10-year-old bike, but it's got all the modern, you know, bells and whistles and, you know, 100 PSI tires, and it goes fast and it's comfortable to sit on all day long. And so it's got a purpose. And that's kind of what I do. I've got different bikes for different purposes, you know?
Yep, I get it. No, I don't have the collection you do, but I have like a few that I'm like mountain bike, trail bike, cruiser bike. I have like an old Hawthorne that I love.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like, it's just one little gear.
Montgomery Ward's Hawthorne. Yeah.
So a couple of fun questions. Local guy here in the Coeur d'Alene area. What is your go-to, maybe one or two favorite restaurants in the Coeur d'Alene, North Idaho area? I
got to tell you, right now, as far as just flavor, ambiance, you know, just the whole package for me, just a guy who's very simple. I like the Bluebird for dinner. Me too. It's one of my favorites. Yeah, absolutely. And it's pedaling distance from the house, you know, on any bike that I own. And I don't know, I like the food, and the wife and I, it's probably, if we have to choose one place to go, that's usually it. And honestly, if I'm just looking for just a little pub to hang out in and have a, I don't know, slice of pizza and a beer, probably right next door to it is Jeremiah Johnson. And I really like Jeremiah Johnson. And if Jeremiah Johnson's, you know, a little overcrowded, then half a block down is Capone's. And that's you know, a favorite for everyone. If I'm looking for breakfast, Syringa. Probably my, or not Syringa, what's the little breakfast joint? Garnet. The Garnet. Yeah.
You get all the stuff in Midtown. I know where you live.
Yeah. And honestly, that's a lot of it. It's close, you know, but I like flavors and I like consistency, and you know, all the places that I mentioned are consistent, you know. And so, yeah, I'm not much of a, you know, I'll go to the other places. You know, I like to grab a bite at Beverly sometimes, you know, the view of the water and the whole thing. But honestly, food at Beverly's and the flavors are no better than, and honestly, I'm not sure they're as good as Bluebird. You know, the Bluebird is fantastic. So, but yeah, you know, I like Midtown. I like, you know, there's a couple places I like to go downtown. Crown and Thistle has a good kind of a vibe, you know, going on there. But yeah, I'd say at this point I'm a Midtown guy, you know, and so pretty much the places I go, you know, when we were wrenching on the bikes, you know, down on Fifth and Wallace, and so we're literally, you know, like 4 blocks south of all that stuff. And so at the end of the day, when you're done building bikes all day, I like to I got a couple of volunteers that we've become, you know, good friends, and so we'll just hop on the bike and pedal up to Jeremiah Johnson and have a pint at the end of the day, and split a pizza, and just talk about what we did that day and talk about what we're going to do tomorrow. And I don't know, it's just I like the vibe there, you know.
Yeah,
so,
I actually saw you and your wife the other day as I drove by, so I know.
Yeah, we were sitting outside. Yep. She knows where to find me. I'm either at the bike shop or I'm there in that somewhere in that little corner there, you know. Yeah.
I love it. So another fun question: if you had a billboard and it could be in Coeur d'Alene, like the busiest spot, what would your billboard either have or say on it?
You know, it's funny. I didn't anticipate you would ask that question, but as I was digging through the clean clothes hamper this morning looking for a shirt to wear, I don't even know if it's visible on the screen, but I got this shirt I'm wearing right now that North Idaho College has a motto that says "Together we will." And I pulled that shirt out of the hamper because the message grabbed me, and it always does. This is kind of my favorite shirt. I'm gonna wear it until it wears out. I'm happy to get another one, but you know, I feel that way. Together, you know, we can really accomplish anything if we decide that we're going to, you know, and that's the hard part, isn't it? Getting a group of people to all decide, you know, that they're going to do something. And so, but I believe that if you find enough of the like-minded people, together you can accomplish anything. So that's as good a motto as I could ever think of, you know. Together we will, together we can. You know?
That's perfect. I love that. So another question is, we've talked about our community and we both are like, we're locals. What is your favorite thing about the Coeur d'Alene, North Idaho community?
You know, it's hard for me to judge them against other communities because I've never really been anywhere, you know. But I think we're get it done kind of people, you know. I like the we're growing, definitely, you know. We're becoming bigger, but we still think about things in a small town way. And you know, we look out for each other, we check in on each other, and we you know, we help each other when we're down, you know, and we give each other praise and build ourselves up when we're feeling low. At least that's been my, you know, it seems like for me that anytime I'm just not sure about something, somebody is there to prop me up and go, no, man, you got this. And I try to do that for you know, other people as well. So I just kind of like the way that we help each other and we care about each other, and we're, you know, again, even though we're growing and there's some growing pains, you know, everybody's feeling it, but we still got that, you know, I wouldn't say at this point everybody knows everybody, but you know, you certainly get to know a lot of people. And it seems like every time you fall down and get a skint knee, somebody, you know, just pops up out of nowhere and goes, man, get up, come on, I'll help you. And if I had to choose, you know, that's something that I just love about this community.
I absolutely love it. I agree with you 100% on that one. So if someone's listening today and they're like, hey, I want to either wrench on bikes, I want to donate, I want to get involved with what Tom's doing, what is the best way to get a hold of you, or how can people help?
Well, we're you can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram. You can Google search and find us in any of those places. You know, we've got a website. You can call. The address is 424 East Wallace Avenue in Coeur d'Alene, the corner of 5th and Wallace. And we're doing all the work out of the basement of the First Baptist Church. And so you just come around the back of the building. The doors open. There's a brick in front of it to hold it open. And when the sun is shining, the door is open. So you just, most people that come in and out of there now, we built a ramp so you can ride the bike in and out the door. There's not even steps anymore. And so, you know what, you just walk through the door. We're there Tuesday through Saturday from noon to 6. You don't need to call ahead. You don't need to make any prior arrangements. Just walk through the door. We got 3 repair stands going all the time. We've got 3 repair stands that we can just pop up. Someone walks in and wants to do some work. There's floors to sweep. There's bikes to take apart. If you're a good mechanic and you feel comfortable and you want to build something, there's bikes to build. There's always something to do, and there's good conversation. It's other bike-minded people, and it's people of all age groups. You might walk in there, and in fact, my best volunteer, the one who's there all the time, his name's Gary. Gary will be 60 in a few days, and he's got some great, stories about things that he's been through in his lifetime. I've got another guy that comes in, his name's Van. Van's 70, and so, and then I got people in and out all day. I got kids coming in. At this point, the neighborhood kids know that we're there, and they know what we do, and so they'll come through the door, and I'll pop up a repair stand. Or they're working on a BMX bike. We turn it upside down on the handlebars, and they work on their own bikes and replace inner tubes, and we help them. And so they get involved in conversations, and so you've got the perspective of a 50-year wide age gap, and we all have our different views of the world, and so you get to hear what the kids today think about and how they view and how they understand things, and then you kind of know on the inside, well, you'll learn a few things over the next few years, but it is still kind of fun to hear how they view things, so I mean, there's always something
Perfect.
going on.
And I'll link everything in here, so when people come in, they can click and get right to you. So,
yes.
Tom, I really appreciate the time you gave me today, and thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to Keeping Tabs. I'm Tabitha Kroc, and every Monday I release a podcast about different community members here in North Idaho. And then we end the weeks on Fridays with a podcast about the things I'm passionate about: outdoors, adventures, sports, the van life, and even current events. So if you like what you heard, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube, Spotify, or iTunes. Thank you again. Now go be kind and do something great.